Happy post Arkansas Derby Day as it is Sunday. Still continuing on with the Racing Festival of the South. Oaklawn Today brought to you by myself, Nancy Holthus, and track announcer Matt Dinnerman. What a spectacular day yesterday, Matt. 68,500 people on track, and you felt it.
We did, and the reason I wore this outfit today is because it represents something. It's gold. We are the gold standard here at Oaklawn. We look at, first of all, how many folks come to racetracks in America on any given day. I would imagine now that Belmont is being renovated, this has to be the second largest crowd in North American racetrack attendance on any given day besides the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah.
Yesterday is exactly the type of day that's what racing's about. Celebrating horses, pageantry, great racing, a phenomenal time, people just having fun.
Yes.
That's exactly what racing is all about, and that's what any track should have, not only on their big day, but any given day.
Yeah, that was not a Arkansas Derby Day record, but was the highest number since simulcast.
Really?
Has come in. Yeah, I think back, somebody was
phenomenal.
telling me back in the 80s, we might have had like 70 or 80,000 people on track, but that's pre-simulcast. So that's a very big statement to say that's post-simulcast, yeah. Let's take a quick look at our weather. We had cloudy skies earlier, but I think it's kind of dissipated, but it is, I'm going to say semi-cloudy, 72 degrees, winds 10 miles an hour, out of the south-southwest, and we are currently starting out with a muddy track condition. I think it might have rained a little bit last night because when I came outside to walk the dogs this morning, the ground was pretty wet. So I wasn't anticipating that, but we're going to start out with a muddy track. Wouldn't be surprised if that gets upgraded throughout the course of the day because there's no precipitation in the forecast. And that is your local meteorologist update from Nancy Holthus. So
Very well.
You got to
Very
be
good.
amateur weathermen if you're on the racetrack to figure out when you're going to train, how you're going to train, whether or not you're going to delay a work or not. But yeah, I was very excited despite kind of the wet track to see Mystic Dan and Torpedo Anna yesterday between the races. That was quite a treat for those in attendance. Let's take a look at our news page. A lot of people were very popular in the winner's circle yesterday, riding triples for Francisco Arrieta, Flavian Pratt, and Jose Ortiz. And the 2024 Arkansas Bred Horse of the Year, Hall and Ice, scores by 5 in the matron. Very impressive. And Banishing scores the Oaklawn Mile to give trainer David Jacobson a training triple, and Shortleaf Stable became Oaklawn's winningest stakes owner with Quiet Side's victory in the Fantasy Stakes. And we all saw Sandman give trainer Mark Cassie his second Arkansas Derby victory. And today, Bob Baffert's Gaming is favored in the Hot Springs Stakes. So while we're talking about all the action yesterday, not only did we have our former Kentucky Derby and Kentucky Oaks winner take to the track, but we also had the University of Arkansas Razorback Marching Band. We had beautiful hats on display in our hat contest. And I think we probably also set a record for the number of people in the winner's circle yesterday. Not only the grandstand winner's circle when State and Flurry won, but also I think when Sandman's Connections, because Curtis Cody, our track photographer, literally got on the rail to get everybody in the photo. Just I don't know if there was room for the horse in the photo. There were so many people, but
They rivaled my racehorse a little bit.
A little bit. Yeah, West Point was well represented. But let's take a quick look at the stretch run of the Fantasy Stakes. This was such an amazing effort by Quiet Side and Johnny Ortiz, and he said he was just going to hand the keys over to Jose Ortiz, and that is exactly what was done as she was able to score that. It kind of looked like a match race coming down the lane. Matt, why don't you talk us through?
Well, Quiet Side and Simply Joking were 1-2 the whole way around here. A little bit of brushing. The 7 was drifting out a little bit into this 12 Quiet Side, or the 5 Quiet Side, I should say. And Quiet Side just narrowly edged clear. She is one, like you said, when you get handed the keys, you get handed the keys to a very nice Ferrari. I think she is a very high-quality filly. What I liked about that race, two things. One is that she put back-to-back races together in a row,
which is hard to do,
which is not easy to do. And two, she showed determination because not only was simply joking, not stopping, but she was coming out a little bit and trying to intimidate Quiet Side, and Quiet Side put her head down and just kept going. But simply joking herself, I was extremely impressed with that.
You know what? I was as well, coming off of that bit of a layoff from the Silver Bullet Day down at Fairgrounds, and to step up off of a similar freshening was very, very impressive. And I thought it was very classy of trainer John Ortiz to credit Simply Joking's conditioner Wit to come in and perform at that level. So it looks like we are going to be well represented the first Friday in May in the Kentucky Oaks, and it's very easy to root for those connections.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And neither is like a mega barn by any means. So Johnny's got a good amount of horses as his Wit, but they're not the Steve Asmussens of the world, Brad Coxes. And I will say, Simply Joking getting out, I think that was a product of maybe trying to intimidate a little bit by the rider, but also maybe off the layoff setting decent fraction. She was getting
a little bit leg weary late.
I think she can improve. She's only run twice. I mean, I think there's a lot there with Simply Joking. I think she's very good.
Yeah, and just for yesterday was her third race, a really good foundation. The fact that she did break her maiden at first asking in the L'Atelier Stakes was really impressive. So Johnny Ortiz just texting me right now. He's actually sent me a photo last night of he and his brother Daniel and Quiet Side outside with the floral wreath. So some very, very happy connections. Arkansas Derby, completely different. Suicidal fractions set on the front end by Speed King and Cornucopian. You pretty much knew when they had about an 8-length lead established at some point that was just going to falter, and they were both going to cave, and that certainly worked out to Sandman's benefit. So let's take a look at the stretch run of the Arkansas Derby, the 89th
they
run
come to the top of the stretch
Arkansas
here.
Derby.
Cold
And
battle,
as we see
Sandman
Sandman,
going
Jose
at
Ortiz
it, and
sweeping the
Publisher
points
trying
races
to break his
yesterday.
maiden in the Arkansas Derby. Cold battle has lost the lead to Sandman. Publisher, the only threat to beat him. Sandman, he's green,
just a little bit green. He's shifting onto the left-handed encouragement there. This horse just has a lot of talent, but he got the right setup, and that was the key to victory, was the pace scenario. He's a horse that wants to run all day. He's a legit classic distance type of horse, and he is going to make some noise, I would imagine, in the Kentucky Derby, because not only does he want the distance, but the pace is usually fast. So he's going to be running on. He got the perfect setup yesterday into that fast pace, and I will say, Nancy, just to go over that, that was as big of a storyline as anything in that race of how that pace developed.
Yes.
I think Speed King's plan with Rafael Bejarano was, we need to get this horse out on the lead at all costs, because we tried to rate in the Rebel and it didn't work. I'm not sure if Johnny maybe underestimated the early speed of Speed King and thought, well, I come off a horse that's gone 21-4, 44. I'm just going to try to put this horse away. And by the time he realized he couldn't, it wasn't too late.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if he was directed to go to the lead at all cost himself. But unfortunately, what ended up happening was Cornucopian turned almost into a rabbit for Sandman.
Yeah, and it actually worked out to Mark Cassie's benefit completely. And Mark Cassie has said, this horse is a little slow to come around. He's a bit of a slow learner, but I think, we did see him maybe get a little leg weary. And I think that was just a little green factor coming into the stretch when you saw him get out, but you saw Jose Ortiz kind of just flash the whip on his right side to kind of straighten him out a little bit. And in my post-race interview with Mark Cassie, should certainly relish any added real estate that he's going to get, which he will get that first Saturday in May at 1.25 miles in Kentucky.
And I also think one thing that people sometimes don't think about, that I've been told from horsemen that could be a case, is when you have a large on-track crowd, right when they hit mid-stretch,
everybody's screaming.
The volume just increases significantly, and the horses hear that, and they're almost like, what's going on? I think it's, as you've mentioned, just a great education for horses.
Yes.
Bob Baffert's mentioned it. It's a lot like a Kentucky Derby vibe because there's so many people.
Yeah, and there's not only people in the grandstand, but there's also that amazing crowd to greet those horses when they come into the top of the stretch. So, definitely got a very good lesson in public crowd knowledge from yesterday's on-track crowd of over 68,000. 50,000 people. So such a spectacular day. It's going to be hard to top that anytime soon.
Absolutely. And you just sit here and I'm sitting here and I'm upstairs and I'm watching all this and I'm like, I got to wait till next year for this type of crowd again. But that's okay. That's why it's special. And also, one of my favorite things of the day was that marching band.
That was so cool.
They were so talented, those young men and women. And people loved it.
You know, obviously, horse racing is our professional sport. It's the only professional sport in Arkansas. So, but it's really cool because we love the Hogs. If you're in Arkansas, you love the Razorbacks. So it was very cool to have the University of Arkansas Razorback Marching Band not only to do the fight song, but also do the national anthem before the run of the Arkansas Derby. And the trumpet section playing Call to the Post. That was very, very cool. That was a big honor for Oaklawn.
Absolutely. And we were thrilled to have them.
Yes.
So I actually got a couple of tweets from people in the marching band. I posted something and it happened to just slide onto their feed for some reason. And they said, we had so much fun.
Good.
We hope we can come back. And absolutely, we'd love to have
Yes,
them back.
we extend the open arms for the marching band. We do have 10 races on the card as we continue for closing day of the Racing Festival of the South. As we open it up for maiden claiming 3-year-old fillies, $20,000 is the purchase price, and they are going to go 5.5 furlongs in distance. And this race also starts the first leg of the 50-cent Pick 5. And Matt, you and I starting off the opener thinking alike.
Yes, we do. Commander Dixie, first time out, did not have a good trip. Came back last time. I thought she made a very premature early move, was in a good position. I don't know why she moved up so quickly. And then she got tired. So she's a trip play for me. Her last 2 races, she hasn't had perfect trips by any means. And I'm hoping this time around she can get a good trip with a new jockey today, Nick Juarez, as well. By the way, Christian Torres is off his mounts. He's riding. Let's see. Now we go. Francisco Arrieta is going to be aboard. So we've got, I think, Florent Giroux's got a few mounts here that he's off. So we're going to have plenty of rider changes today.
Yeah, and Matt will give you those when he goes up to the booth. Yeah, I'm on Commander Dixie as well. Really moved forward in that second start, which was also kind of a laboring kind of track, which we will start out over. So we know that this 3-year-old filly can handle it. Does get that little bit of class relief, and I like just the slight cutback in distance because she might have gotten just a little bit leg weary late, even though she did improve. So I actually kind of like the 5.5 furlong distance for Commander Dixie in the opener on the 10-race program this Sunday. Race number 2 is for Arkansas bred, 4-year-olds and up, claiming price of $7,500, and they are going to go 6 furlongs in distance. There you see a few scratches, also the jockey change, and race number 2 kicks off the first leg of the 50-cent Pick 4.
Yes, and this one drops in class. Choctaw Zip, your 5-2 morning line favorite, is my pick in this race as well. Has run well on the wet going. 2 of 3 lifetime wins have come on the wet ground. So we could see, I agree with you, Nancy, like yesterday where the track gradually improved in terms of dampness. It eventually went up to just a fast track, and I think we could see that later in the day. But in the second race, the track will probably still be wet. So Choctaw Zip off a little bit of a class drop here, cutting the claiming price in half after a state-bred $15,000 run. Didn't break well at the circle outside of horses turning for home. Lost some ground there and sort of clunked up for 4th. I think this is an easier field.
Yes, certainly an easier field. Choctaw Zip it is for myself as well. It should be noted that that last race, which was tougher, did produce 2 next out winners. So I think there's going to be just enough speed to set up for his running style here in the first leg of the 50-cent Pick 4. Race number 3 is for fillies and mares, 4-year-olds and up, either non-winners of 3 or horses that have not won a race since August 30th, and they're going to go 6 furlongs in distance.
Well, I'm hoping my one horse here, Fashion Rage, my top pick, can work out a good trip in this large field. But this gal here, she's seen better days, was soundly beaten last time out for $20,000. Albeit behind a big class dropper, Edith Strudis, who had come off a runner-up finish in an allowance race. I would just think in for $10,000 a day. She needs the drop off that last race, but if she's got anything in the tank, just looking at who's in here, I think she wins. So it's all simply just, hey, we've got a runner here that needs a class drop, is getting it. I would argue her form's not going in the right direction, but she's also getting the class relief that she needs. So in a race where there's not a lot of horses with fantastic recent form, I'm going to pick the class of the race.
And you know what I like to say, the best top is a drop. I'm going to go just a few stalls to the outside of Matt's top selection with the number 3, Sequin Lady. She's feeling fancy today. The 7-time winner does exit an improved third when facing slightly tougher restricted 12-5 company. The barn, David Jacobson, had 3 wins yesterday. The barn is on fire. That could certainly parlay over to the Sunday program. Looks to track off the speed and finish just in front of Adiva last time out when facing just slightly tougher. So it's getting closer to the winner's circle as she does make her 3rd local start at the meeting. Race number 4, as we are moving along, this is for 4-year-olds and up, a $10,000 claiming event set to go 1 mile. And we saw a race yesterday decimated with scratches. This is our race today that is decimated with scratches. We also see a rider change of the number 1 set to go 1 mile. And interesting field here, Matt. And I think you're going to be down on the rail with Nick Juarez right now.
Yeah, Nick Juarez is going to hop aboard this one here. Was in for 10,000 last time out. A different type of condition, faced an easier group, but stocked the pace, won by 2 3/4, and I think could have won by a lot more than that. So that's a positive. Gets a confidence booster. Is back in for 10,000 for trainer Mike Maker here with Mr. Juarez aboard. Looks like a 3-horse race between this one, On Esprit, Tiwanaku, and then Vivir con Alegria, which I would imagine means living with Alegria.
There we go. I'm going to go with the number 5, Tiwanaku, who Matt just mentioned, is looking for the 3rd consecutive win. It's hard enough to put 2 wins together regardless of the level that horses are competing, but does take a slight class drop after a 2-length win at 1 mile against Open Company, or excuse me, is just trying to replicate that win. So has 2 wins and a 2nd and just 4 local starts. And the barn, since returning to Oaklawn, this runner has been very effective, and I like the fact that this runner is tactical, can set the pace or just sit off of that early speed. So Tiwanaku with Francisco Arrieta for me in race number 4. Let's get to race number 5 before we take a quick time out, as this is for fillies and mares 4 and up. We had the sprint version of this earlier. Now this is the 1 mile and a 16th. Non-winners of 3 or non-winners of a race since August 30th. So it's a very interesting group, as Matt, you and I think are thinking alike on a bit of a price here.
It sure looks like it. I don't think we're going to get that price.
No.
I think it's 50 shade time 8 to 1 each. I mean, she's probably going to be 3 to 1 in this race at least for a high percentage barn. Coming off a 3rd place finish in an optional claiming starter allowance at the fairgrounds. That race was over a wet surface. This is a much easier field. And I'm thinking is going to get a good trip, but needs to work out a good trip from the outside.
Yes. Yeah, 50 Shades time. Jonas Gibson does very well here. He had a great season when he was stabled here last year. Still looking for the 1st local win and the 1st win at the distance, but has been consistent hitting the board in those. So kind of knocking at the door. This runner does race 2nd off the claim, where the Gibson barn is 29%, and also 2nd off the freshening with 26%. So does get some class relief. Hoping we get a little bit of a price, because people might be really hammering the morning line favorite, who is down on the inside, or actually draws the 9 post position Bull Toro, that one owned and trained by Steve Asmussen. So I don't think we're going to go off as the favorite, but definitely not, I don't believe, Matt, get 8 to 1. We're going to take a quick break here on the Sunday Racing Festival of the South edition of Oaklawn Today, and when we return, we'll pick it up with race number 6, the first leg of the late 50-cent pick 5.
Experience the excitement of horse racing with Oaklawn Anywhere. If you're an Arkansas resident, you can watch and wager on horse racing from around the globe, whether you're at home or on the go, with any smartphone, laptop, or tablet, anytime, anywhere. Download the free Oaklawn Anywhere app and register for a sign-up bonus. With access to past performances, live video, race replays, and expert handicapping data, you're always in the know with no subscription fees. Bet online anytime with Oaklawn Anywhere. Exclusively available to Arkansans. Right, Max? Oaklawn Anywhere. Our season never ends. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700.
the greatest week in thoroughbred racing, the Racing Festival of the South.
And here they come into the stretch of the Arkansas Derby.
And they're off in the Hot Springs Stake. Nash looking just like he did when he broke his maiden. That's a nice effort here. Wrapped up Nash with a nice confidence booster.
Back with race number 6 as we pick it back up for the first leg of the late 50-cent pick 5. This race to be contested at 1 mile and 1/16 for Arkansas bred 4-year-olds and up. And this is a non-winners of 3 allowance or a $30,000 claim. We do have a field of 11, as you can see, and there is a rider change on the number 10, which will be announced. So, Matt, what do you think about the first leg of the late 50-cent pick 5?
Burlsworth in this race, the son of Practical Joe, comes off of back-to-back wins, is going well. This horse last year was well regarded. Took him a while to get the light bulb turned on, but he has. And he runs like a horse that'll like going long. He actually ran second in a maiden special weight going long last year, and he ran well that day while getting a good trip. And I just think in a race like this, I'm going with the Now horse in here who has really good form.
Yeah, he's been one of your faves, him and Touchdown Arkansas, who seem to deliver every single time.
Yeah.
No coincidence there about Burlsworth and Touchdown Arkansas. I'm going to go with Hoppin' John, who is the number 6, coming from the barn of Abel Ramirez Rodriguez, Francisco Arrieta. Could potentially have a very good day. This runner is super consistent in the money. The last 9 of 10 starts in the local exacta, 4 of 6 goes. Did win an Arkansas bred first level allowance going 1 mile in distance and exits a runner-up finish when facing $16,000 claimers, shortening up to 6 furlongs. That race did produce 2 next out winners, so certainly does become a key race. Races first off the claim for the barn, who does very well with those new purchases, firing at 25% and looks to chase the pace. Hoppin' John trying not to hop out of the gate, but just get a very nice setup from the go.
And he did last time out. I picked him last time, and he was in against cheaper. I should say the last time he routed. He sprinted last time out, and he made this huge move on the turn and just kept it going. Also, I'm hearing Cybertown Jose Ortiz is the rider.
Yes. Jose Ortiz will be aboard Cybertown in that is number 10. Race number 7 is the third running of the Hot Springs Stakes. It's set to go 1 mile in distance, $200,000 purse for 3-year-olds. Brad Cox has won both runnings, no Cox entrant, but it's interesting. Steve Asmussen has been runner-up in the last 2 goes. And Matt, you and I are thinking he might get his first Hot Springs win today.
I think so. His first race was at Keeneland. Dueled in the lead, ran the second, beating ahead to Dream Away, who came back to win a stake at Monmouth. I called that win, by the way. And then Clever again came back off a 10-month break on Rebel Day in a maiden special weight. Had some fast works on the page. You send good horses here in maiden special weights on those big days. You don't run, you're just sort of average 3-year-old in the maiden special weight on a day like Rebel Day, and he romped. Albeit he got things his own way on the lead on a speed-biased track. But it was a big effort. He's got a lot of talent. He's bred to like turf by American Pharoah out of a Galileo mare, but dirt is his friend as well, just like American Pharoah, his dad. So Clever again, I think this horse is a very good horse, and I think Gaming's a very beatable horse. He had a horrendous trip last time in the Southwest, so you can be forgiving of that. Pretty much threw up his hooves early after getting slammed inside. And Bob Baffert reporting Gaming's not a horse that likes to be inside of horses, but he had no excuses in the Los Al Futurity where he sort of just clunked up for third in a very subpar effort after a good 2-year-old season for him. So I question where Gaming, how good he is and where his form's going.
Yeah, I'm going to question gaming as well and try to beat him. Mind you, he is the class of the field, being a grade 1 winner as a 2-year-old, was actually an Eclipse finalist.
Yeah.
And Bob said the target for this runner was actually the Virginia Derby, but he had spiked a temp, so that race was scratched off of the record. Bob said he's also been off the form his last couple of races, his last 2 races, and this is quoting Bob Baffert, were dismal. But he says he's training well, he looks healthy. This is certainly a great start to point him back into the afternoons. But yeah, I'm going to go Clever again. It was super impressive amount of speed. Could potentially get out there and, as they say, walk the dog. As we saw, it's interesting, they had that 1.125 for 3-year-old maidens, and Sippy's horse that was second to Cornucopian stretched out off of that 6 furlong effort behind Cornucopian and was very impressive. So we know it can be done. We got a chance to see it yesterday. So really
Zero
impressive
sugar.
by that
Yeah,
effort.
and obviously he's a very nice horse
Yes.
himself. And I would imagine maybe the Bathhouse Row could be in play with him.
Yeah.
Being a Flurry-owned horse, and Staten, of course, from Hot Springs. And maybe even the Indiana Derby down the road with Sippy going to
You never
Indiana.
know. Yeah, Sippy's a big powerhouse in Indiana. Race number 8. Speaking of maidens, this one is a maiden allowance for 3-year-old fillies, and they will sprint 6 furlongs in distance. No scratches in the field of 12, but we do have a few rider changes. And in this one, Matt, once again, you and I thinking alike and going on the far outside.
Yeah, Mandela. She ran really well first out. Ducked to the inside down the lane in a large field and came with a powerful move and just missed for trainer Chris Hartman, who's 17% with maiden second-time starters. That's above average
That's
stat
huge.
there. So with a bullet work since that last race, a daughter of Mendelssohn. Watched her workouts on Oaklawn.com before her first race, and I picked her that day at 8-1 too. She worked like a runner that had some ability, and she showed it. So maybe she can even improve second out. Even if she doesn't, if she runs back to that race against this field, she's got a big chance to win.
Yeah, I'm on her as well. She popped a 75 buyer for her runner-up effort in that debut, and she was also kind of on the further outside of the starting gate, 10 of 12, and I like that she does draw the outside again this afternoon. I think that's going to give Raphael a few options from where to position her, but came from well off the pace, and I love the form line says dove inside, so hopefully we're not going to be diving anytime this afternoon, but I do think there's going to be a perfect amount of speed for her to set up down the lane. We do have another overnight stakes on the program. It is the inaugural running of the Southern Hospitality Stakes. It is for 3-year-old fillies, which have not won a sweepstakes, and they will go 6 furlongs in distance. Again, no scratches, but multiple rider changes. And Matt, something about today, you and I are right on the same wavelength.
Well, I guess hopefully good minds think alike. Hopefully today.
Hopefully.
Nancy. Either that or we're going home with empty pockets. So.
With maybe some seconditis.
Yes. Well, we've had that plenty this week.
Yes, we have.
Both of
Yes,
us
we
on
have.
certain days. So I am going, and Nancy as well, is going with Miss Martini, who won very impressively 2 starts ago in a main special weight and came back and ran second to GW's Girl in the Dixie Belle Stakes. What I liked about that race is who she finished behind. GW's Girl is a runner that we're going to see in the Beaumont, I think, next week, a grade 2 race at Keeneland. She's a multiple stakes winner here at Oaklawn Park herself. And the only time she lost, she finished 5th, only beaten 2 lengths in a prep for the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint as a 2-year-old. So a lot of quality that Miss Martini finished behind, was second best, and there are no GW's Girls in this race. So that's the key. She runs back to that last race. She's the one to beat.
Yeah, very impressive. That was also her first time versus winners, and to be runner-up to a multiple stakes winner like GW's Girl was very, very impressive. She went off at 8-1. We're not going to get that today off Miss Martini. She does also race second off just a similar break where the barn is 21%. So certainly knows how to get this one ready. So Miss Martini, it is for Matt and myself in the inaugural running of the, you got to say it with an accent, the Southern Hospitality. The Southern Hospitality.
I have a West Coast accent, if that's even a thing. It's hard for me to get that Southern drawl in.
But have you incorporated y'all into your vernacular?
Yes.
Okay.
I say it all the time.
Okay.
And,
do your parents go, what?
No, not when I'm with them, though, for whatever reason.
Yeah.
It's just when I'm around. I see y'all later, and I never thought that would be the case because actually a veterinarian at Golden Gate, Dr. Ash is his name. He's from Arkansas.
Okay.
He goes, you're going to be saying y'all and all y'all
All
a
y'all.
lot. And I said, no, I'm not.
Have you?
Sure enough.
One big thing is I'm fixing to. Like I'm getting ready to. I'm fixing to
fixing
go.
to.
I'm
And
yeah.
that's not a West Coast thing. That's
No,
very
that's
much
a very southern thing.
Midwest.
Even when I was living out in California, people on TVG would realize, because I've tried not to have an accent, on television, especially out on the West Coast. But when I would talk at length with my mom and would get off the phone, my roommate would not be able to understand a word I would say because she said your accent and your drawl really does come out. So there's something about a southern accent, though. But
it's interesting how vocabulary, you get certain slang terms from different places around the country. Like on the West Coast, in Southern California, they don't use the word hella. In Northern California, they say a hella good time.
Okay.
Or gnarly is something that I don't hear out
Yeah.
here, but they say it a lot on the West
and like in
Coast.
Boston, it's wicked good.
Yeah.
That type of thing. So, yeah, interesting, the different vernacular in the South as well. Race number 10 as we close out the Racing Festival of the South. This is for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up, a maiden allowance, and they are going to go 1 mile and a 16th in distance. And this is a really good group. Did have a scratch of the number 10 and several rider changes. But, Matt, how are you going to close out the week?
We will close out the week, hopefully with a winner, Nancy. That's the key here. Going 1 mile and a 16th, these fillies here. And I'm taking Calamity on top with the new jockey, Jose Ortiz. This runner looked like she had some run around the far turn and turning for home. And then she sort of got caught behind horses, but still rallied on down the lane late to run third here. I think she's going in the right direction. So that's sort of my angle there.
Yeah, Calamity certainly does look like the one to beat, but I'm going to try to beat her with the number 1 Songmaker, Norm Cassie, legging up jockey Ricardo Santana Jr. Routed last time and went out there and set some very easy fractions. Actually, at some point had a length and a half on the remainder of the field and was just caught late to run second, beaten just a neck at 7-1, 7-2 on the morning line. Potentially depends on how these inexperienced runners. There's just no first-time starters, but they might switch up their game plan. Could potentially get out there and walk the dog, as there's not a whole lot of other speed in the field today. So I do like that she had a really good experience, her first time, not only around 2 turns, but at today's distance of 1 mile and a 16th. Those are our 10 race selections for this Sunday card, but let's take a look at our $20 show bet bonus parlay, our long shot, and our top pick sponsored by Oaklawn Anywhere. Matt's going to start in race number 2 with Choctaw Zip, go to On a Spree, Mandela, and round it out with Miss Martini. I rounded out with Miss Martini as well, but I start out with race 3, Sequin Lady, Tiwanaku, Hoppin' John, which makes me hungry, and then Miss Martini. Long shot play of the day. Matt goes in the nightcap with Seraphia.
So actually, you know what?
That's
I think
not
I might
right.
have wrote Seraphia as
Okay.
my top pick. I think I made a change
Okay.
there. I think I originally picked Calamity. Now that I think about it, I wrote down Calamity, and then I think when I was going in, I realized, you know what? I'm going to pick Seraphia.
Okay.
Who, by the way, ran 4th last time out, 2nd start off a layoff. I thought really improved from her 2-year-old season. So that's why I picked her, and I figured she'd be a better price.
I like it. I like
Boy,
it.
I'm sorry for the mistake.
No, you're
there.
fine. Race number 5, I'm going to go with It's 50 Shade Time. Not sure we're going to get that morning line. Top pick sponsored by Oaklawn Anywhere. Matt goes Clever Again in the 7th, and I go Sequin Lady. She's feeling fancy in race number 3.
I feel like Will Ferrell's character in Anchorman just reads off the graphics. You know, if you watch that movie, everything that's on the teleprompter, he reads off. I think that's what I felt like I was doing right there.
What was one of your favorite takeaways from this weekend?
I would say one of my favorite just like on the track.
Yeah, like one of your favorite moments the whole racing festival so far.
I would say on the track would have been the Fantasy.
Okay.
Just a great race, a battle down the wire between 2 fillies that clearly are very talented.
Yes.
They're going to have to run very big to beat Good Shears, probably going to be the favorite in the Kentucky
Yeah.
Oaks. She's undefeated for Brad Cox. But that was my favorite race of yesterday, even though the Arkansas Derby was my most fun to call.
Yeah.
Definitely the Fantasy was a great race. And just thinking about the pageantry and how many people were here, it was a phenomenal day. On a scale of 1 to 10, I give it like a 572. It was unbelievable. Just unbelievable.
Super exceeded expectations across the board. Yeah, such a fantastic day. It's going to be another fantastic day. The infield is open, lots of activities to do, and Matt will go up to the announcers booth, give you the full set of changes because there are quite a few. So make sure you listen and follow along with our in-house in-house TVs, and you'll see me in the paddock throughout the course of the afternoon. So best of luck to you on this closing day of the Racing Festival of the South.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for watching and wagering on Oaklawn Park. Folks, without further ado, we now ask you to please rise and remove your caps for the playing of our nation's anthem. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you can now get out your pens, pencils, and programs because we now have today's changes. Here they come. Our track condition listed as muddy. Muddy track conditions to kick off our day. Mostly cloudy skies. Southwest winds coming in at 10 miles an hour. 75 degrees currently. Warm day here in Hot Springs. Ladies and gentlemen, here come the changes. The first race on the program kicks off the early pick 5 sequence. Scratch number 8, No More Shots. Number 8, No More Shots is scratched out of race number 1. Also note we have a rider change in race 1. Number 7, Now We Go. Make the jockey Francisco Arrieta. Francisco Arrieta riding number 7, Now We Go. In race number 1 today, jockey Christian Torres is off his mounts this afternoon. The second race begins the early pick 4 sequence. Scratch number 1, At a Party, and scratch number 8, Reef's Destiny. Numbers 1 and 8, both withdrawn from race 2. Number 2, changing times, is 2 pounds overweight, and we have a rider change on number 7, Choctaw Zip. Make the jockey Tyler Bacon. Tyler Bacon riding number 7, Choctaw Zip, in the second race. Over in the third race on the program today, number 1, Fashion Rage, is 1 pound overweight, so is number 8, Divine Gal. Fourth race on the program, we scratch number 3, Drifter, take out number 4, 7 Flat. Number 7, Tiebreaker, has been withdrawn. Number 8, Cozy My Boy, will not run. And number 11, Lions Not Sheep, also not to compete. Numbers 3, 4, 7, 8, and 11, all scratched out of race number 4. And also in the fourth race, the rider on number 1 will now be Nick Juarez. Nick Juarez riding number 1 on a spree in race 4. In the fifth race on the card today, scratch number 1A, Super Enticing, and scratch number 10, Butterfly Queen. Numbers 1A and 10, both out of race 5. Also in the fifth race, number 11, it's 50 Shade Time. Make the jockey Eric Asmussen. Eric Asmussen riding number 11, 50 Shade Time, in race number 5. The sixth race starts the late pick 5 sequence. Number 8, King Peanut, is 2 pounds overweight. Scratch number 12, Devil's Fork, and scratch the also eligible number 13, Where's Randy. Numbers 12 and 13 out of race 6. The seventh race begins the late pick 4 wager, the first of 2 stakes today, the third running of the $200,000 Hot Springs Stakes for 3-year-olds going a mile. In race number 7, scratch number 1, Landing Craft, and scratch number 3, Griffin. Numbers 1 and 3, both scratched out of race number 7, the Hot Springs Stakes.